Good morning, Alex.
Okay.
Yeah, we have you guys set up over here.
Okay, great. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes, sir. We have John, yourself, Josh, and Chris. How are you doing today? How was Argentina?
No, we went to Fiji.
Fiji. Okay. How was the site visit?
Very good.
Yeah.
Just only 3 of us. John, Chris, and I. It's quite. It looks like a park here.
Oh my God.
40 acres. But in the world is the new Montecito. Montecito used to be.
Oh, really?
Maybe 50 years ago. It's a bigger mansion.
Crazy.
How many people live there?
10. 0. Oh my God. That's like Rancho San Carlos right now.
Yeah, in you can probably 10,000.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's insane. I mean, they paid millions of dollars.
It's big, so I would buy
Absolutely.
so now you can see we need additions. 6 people. They go through the same process.
Yeah.
Application process.
Yeah.
We got these other guys.
Exactly.
Anyway, that's my political angle.
No, we're going right through the same thing because me and my wife, we're trying to buy a house right now, and we're just priced out of the area.
Oh, good luck.
Yeah.
That was, but, people don't come in. What keep the prices lower with the lack of food.
Definitely.
Yeah, fine. They're used to driving 40 minutes anyway. Probably a bit more, but it's just.
Yeah. It's like it's hard to find a house.
Yeah, the house name was
I think it was like 4% 3 or 4 years ago, and now it's 7.5. Yeah.
Maybe jump along. Yeah. I they can't really nice trying to help, but there's so many problems. Nobody wants to be proud.
Yeah.
So that Kavita for instance, complain right? She was my obviously that
Yeah.
Three stories of it.
Yeah.
You probably won't be
Hard to keep up. Yeah. I wonder who's did you see that building they were trying to build in Houston? The prison.
That is also bizarre.
Yang.
Yeah. I was very high, but it's pretty what 10%, 20% money, or the other 80%. Is working.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
I think they said only 5% of the building, 5% of the rooms would only have windows. Yeah.
So you have there next to the ocean, and you don't have wind.
Yeah.
It's
It's insane. I'm gonna put up a little sign that says we're gonna start in about 10 minutes, 5 minutes.
yeah, so it's 10 o'clock. So Chris was driving behind me. Maybe he's smoking a cigarette or something.
Coffee or something, yeah.
I got a copy of the drawings. It's like this. It's nice. It's we're not on the end. This
No.
is- Yeah. But you know, if you want to fix it, yeah. Yes. Yeah.
That's why it's hard to believe there's limited space for.
Well, that's the paradox. It's people. Oh, it's not really obnoxious for me. That's the way things. It's like here. Gonna be acceptable. It's one story. But that's not like what you need.
Yeah. We'll be fine with 3-bathroom or 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom.
So, you know, this is like up to us to get on the floor.
Oh, yeah.
And then think another one.
Mhm.
Right now, I'm just thinking, yeah, schedule it 6 months. But it's short. If she needs to have doctors, they have doctors. Actually, it's just doctors. They're going. Right.
We are on.
Okay.
The microphone.
Microphone's up there and I'll pick up the volume.
All right, welcome everyone. We'll now call to order the SBAR meeting, a special meeting of September 1st, 2023, beginning with item number 1, which is public comment. If there's anyone that would like to speak on an item that's not on the agenda for today, please step forward or raise your hand. Okay, see no one. Joe, can you hear us okay? Or me, I guess.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, somewhat. Right, so item number 2 is the agenda status report.
And number 5, 23 BAR 27, here we got a single family dwelling to be continued to a future hearing.
Okay. That's the only change. So item number 3, the minutes from the last meeting of August 11th. So, item number 1, I would just add the board has concerns at the beginning. It's just concerns. Same. Yes. Yeah.
That's a. Absence.
I think these might be the previous minutes.
8/11, right?
Well, from the meeting before that. Just provide renderings or 3D model. They did. Yeah. Well, then maybe we just carried that. Josh, like 1 or 2 of them.
I wasn't here last time. So, well, you can look at the minutes of 6:46.
Yeah, I can bring those minutes up.
Okay, those are the same.
This is
Oh, these are today.
that's today. Yeah. He's looking for previous. The item E, detail and restudy face of driveway and trailhead, that was discussed the last time, so. But everything else seems to be from before. action. I see Josh, you made a motion.
This is the approved minutes from 6/2.
Okay, so maybe it is different. Okay. So let's go back to August 11th.
There was a motion.
Motion did not.
Motion failed. And,
So then we,
I was there for that one.
yeah,
yeah,
that was the latest. So basically we said come back with a few changes, and if you have it, then you're in concept, prelim, and final. So we did discuss the front glass, the lantern effect, and people are still questioning the railing. That was glass. So I guess this is
Talked
probably
about darker color palette, talked about the tile.
yeah. Okay, so I guess that's accurate. Then. Okay, fine then. We can. If there's any, unless you want to make observations or changes. Slightly. M2 drop for 3. Nice architectural. I guess that's either nice architectural design or just yeah, so that design A.
Toward project.
Nice project.
Number 3, nice architectural project website.
Just yeah, I think like nice architectural style.
It's kind of awkward.
that's easy. It's your protection. It was not clear, but if I were to read that,
I think what it was was the entry walkway to the front door got pretty close to the large oak. And so we should add to E, ensure protection of large oak entry. You know, consider.
do you want to comment or?
No, they had it. I think they had it on version 4.
Okay, all right.
But so we want to add to E and say ensure protection of large oak at entry. Consider modifying location of entry walkway. That's good enough. Okay. All we had, we didn't have any comments. Okay. There's just a T missing in the middle of that. Okay. 6. Okay. 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 Good. Okay, someone make a motion to amend minutes. Make a motion. Second. All those in favor?
I recused because I was asked.
John also. Yes.
It's okay. It's okay because right here.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Okay, so motion carries. Moving on to item number 4, the SBAR members informational briefings.
I'm going to leave that alone next. Okay.
Be out. Week of October. Okay.
We'll be carrying the load of these other two flakes.
I'll speak well if you want. Okay, I'll carry the wood forward. So we need to make sure that we talk to Kaylee and Robert and Valerie.
It says Russia will be absent on September 2023.
So,
Yeah,
So I said to Robert,
okay, so we need that. So you're gone all of September.
Leaving,
Also.
yeah, I'm leaving next, so we have SBAR next Friday, right?
Yes.
Yes, I'll be there for that.
oh, okay, all
And then
right.
I'm gonna be out, up through the October 3rd. Leaving that Saturday.
Okay.
So it's that's okay.
As long as, yeah.
So, on informational briefings, I attended the meeting for the, what's it called?
Yes, objective design
Their
standards.
objective design standards kind of focused around large residential development, mainly multifamily. And I was actually able to get a meeting with Alex Peugeot, Alex Frosher to review after the meeting so that we can kind of talk about it, provide more feedback to the planning staff that's developing this. So I'll be talking to Alex, telling him feedback to him, what we discussed, Alex. And I also had a phone call with Chris. I don't know if you had a chance to look at any of it.
Yeah, but I did see that, I think, a couple months ago.
Yeah, a couple of things in the landscape elements that should be, I'll probably be forming an email back to Alex over the weekend. Just to kind of summarize what Joe and Frosher and I talked about. So Chris, if you want to shoot me anything, any language, I'll get that back to Alex Tuttle pops into this meeting today. I can give verbal feedback, but
Where are the court records?
not here.
It's upstairs.
upstairs.
The basement.
Yeah, maybe.
Judge, I think one of the things that you gotta pay attention of, document is drawings.
Yeah.
The drawings are,
Inadequate.
there are things that this board will not approve. And you show them design standards.
I think that was number one on my list is the drawing samples that were provided need to be more carefully articulated. Their projects being presented to make points in the standards that our projects this board would never approve.
So like
As
the
is.
city, for instance, has.
Yeah.
And my comment is better to write what's objectionable.
Speak up.
Yeah, I mean, like, to in a document like that, what check design standard, not what is allowed, but what is not allowed.
Focus on what's objectionable and potentially, if you're not going to have the right drawing, just err on the side of not doing it. It's too
Yeah,
misleading.
like for instance, I think this board doesn't support bubble skylights. Oh, some code.
Yeah.
Let's just say that.
Yeah.
As opposed to, you can have skylights like this. In a violation, but that would be my interest. We're much more clear, we short the document.
The main thing that we discussed too is the roof line issues that are being proposed on how to create guidance in the design of large roof structures. So one of the things that we found objectionable was the example drawing that showed a very large low slope roof, which is kind of problematic. The top of the building looked poorly articulated, proportioned poorly. And I think that's one of the issues that this board deals with when we have large buildings that are bumping up against artificially imposed height limits. You know, the tops of the buildings start to get perverted by, these weird envelopes that get created. The architecture gets kind of squashed down, and people are using slope roofs at very low pitch over 50-foot spans. There's no articulation happening. So I think that was one of the areas of focus that I was interested in trying to get our guidance to. And then there was a kind of a list of materials that they were posing as acceptable. I think to Alex's point, maybe better to make a list of things that aren't acceptable, and keep that door wide open so we don't channel people into some narrow band.
So can you give us an idea of the gist of what this is for the layman, the ladies and gentlemen at home?
Yeah, so, well, I have to do that, but the easiest thing to do is just read it right off the
Yeah,
front
something
page.
here for the.
I don't know how much of this is public. It's all draft.
Yeah, it's basically that the county didn't reach their housing quota, so now they're streamlining the process. And doing so, it bypasses design review in some cases, right?
Yeah.
So they're trying to instill some.
So what it says, the purpose of this chapter is to implement a streamlined application review process for qualifying streamlined housing projects consistent with the requirements of the state law. It's intended that the provisions of this chapter be interpreted as needed to comply with the requirements of Government Code Section 65913.4. So anyway, you know, there's an applicability statement here for applications deemed complete before January 1st, 2026. So qualifying streamlined housing projects means housing development projects that satisfy all of the standards set forth in Government Code 65913.4. So and there's some options about which projects, you know, the applicants have some choices to make around how they push their projects through the process. I believe they can come to us if they want to, but this is anyway. It's a pretty straightforward document. It just needs a little fine tuning. I think it's important that people who like us who mitigate these issues daily on these board meetings get their input. So I think we have insight that might be helpful to these guys doing a better document. And now's the time. I'm impressed at the level of listening. I mean, you know, the planning staff seems genuinely interested in our input. Good partnership.
Yeah.
So anyway, send me any information you guys have. If you guys need a copy of this, I can send one to you. But if you have any thoughts about it, I'll forward those on to Alan. I'm going to send this to Tuttle.
Yeah, I think just to look at the city. The county has copied a lot of the city. It's
Good. So I think now we can ahead with our standard agenda, starting with item number 1, the 210 Lindbergh Lane LLC new single-family dwelling. Request of Jennifer Siemens, agent for 210 Lindbergh Lane, for preliminary review of a new single-family dwelling and associated accoutrements located 210 Lindbergh Lane, Carpinteria, last heard March 21st, and we have our applicant here. Please state your names for the record.
From Danny Longwell, Two Trees Architects.
Okay, hi Danny. Do you want me to read through these comments, or do you want to just sort of take them?
Yeah, that's great. Scott Menzel is also here. I see him, and Jennifer is not able to make it today.
So I'll just have you present. I'm going to set a timer for 10 minutes, and you can just touch on the comments rather than me reading them.
Yeah, so I'll start on the comments. I think it's been a while since we've been put the project before the board, but previously the architectural style is appropriate and structural development is well cited. The mass bulk and scale appear appropriate and compatible with the site and surroundings to be confirmed with site visit. We did the story polls as requested on the main high points, the gable ends, as indicated or requested on the previous visit. One of the comments was to look for ways to reduce the total amount of grading. So we did we did that. We were able to reduce the export by approximately 1,100 cubic yards. We reduced our ceiling heights and kind of rather than kind of shave off a foot to 18 inches of the pad, we reduced that by 6 inches just by keeping the ridge heights in the same position, but raising the floors up, kind of reducing the height in the garage to a minimum 8'6", reducing the plate heights a bit in the main house, and look for kind of creative ways to deposit some of the fill around the shoulders of the site without it feeling unnatural. So we recognize that there is a significant amount of grading, but I think a lot of that is due to the goal and desire to reduce the visible massing on the project by kind of tucking these garages, these vehicle storage, equipment storage underneath, and that reduces the visible presence of the structure, but it does increase the grading. So we do have another phase of the project coming in the future, and we intend to hold the fill on site until we are able to use it for that, which includes a small horse arena, which will require fill. So that's our goal for the export, is to not actually have to remove it from the site. The study double hung windows, we can go to, I think the elevation sheet is page Cameron, can you page 17 in the PDF. So we've definitely, I think we were a little early in the development of some of that on the previous. Oh, it looks like you guys, I think you have the previous plan set.
This is Jonathan. If you'd like, you can email me the latest plan set or a Dropbox link, and I can share it to the members here.
Cameron, are you able to do that? You're on mute, Cameron, just so you know.
Yeah, I can do that. Just a sec.
Yeah.
That we had latest in there last night.
I saw Tatiana submitted.
Hey, Jonathan, just real quick, for this item, this project is for preliminary approval today, correct?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if the planner hasn't seen the plans, we can't have new
you
plans
guys
reviewed by.
You guys have had them for a few months. You're looking at like the plans from a year ago.
If we can find the plans that a planner has, we can confirm that the planner's reviewed. We can definitely look at that. So if this is an issue, potentially we could trail the item and maybe figure this out in the background while we look at other projects.
Yes.
I'll just I'll email it to Jonathan right now.
Is our planner on?
And
This is Tatiana. Yeah, can you guys copy me? To my knowledge, I uploaded the most recent set that I received in August, but I will double check if you just please CC me.
Okay.
Sure.
This is Scott Menzel, the landscape architect. The plans that we're looking at, the landscape plans, are, I'm fairly certain, yeah, these are the most common landscape plans, at
So
least.
What's
mean the
happening
most
there,
recent?
Cameron, with our plans?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Can you go back to the architectural drawings? Oh, there we go. Yeah, that looks correct. I think it's just oh, the landscape was separated out of the set.
When I upload them for BARE, I split the plan set into smaller file size sets, so the page numbers are
Oh, okay,
the
okay.
off.
I was saying page 17, that would have been if it was one long PDF. So it's just A3.01 to get to the elevations.
A3.01.
This one again.
So I think it's a different PDF then, is that?
Yeah, they were put into free PDFs and it does say.
I see.
it says-
Yeah, so A301. Keep scrolling.
Yeah, just keep going.
Yeah, because in the bottom on the title block, it says printed 8/17/23. So
Okay, good.
Yeah, that's good.
We're good then.
There we go.
Yeah, so there was, I think the north elevation was the comment was specific to that. There was these narrower windows on the front and just kind of an overall maybe lack of development at the time of the alignments of the windows. So I think as a whole, just at this level at preliminary, we've studied that much closer, studied the alignments and plate heights and proportions, operations. I think you can see that in the elevations there. On the south elevation, consider dropping header down to match windows beyond. We did that. I think it looks much better on those patio covers.
yeah, just following the basic south elevation.
Yes.
Could you repeat that one about the header?
Yeah, so those previously there was this opening, see the wood header that's on those covered patios, it was higher and it didn't align with the windows, so we pulled those down to align, and I think it looks much better. Has the right amount of kind of stone on the shoulders there, which I think looks better. Also provides better, protection from sun. Okay, so study materiality of garage elevation. I believe that's, you scroll down, it's on the same sheet. It's actually that's the storage. It's on this sheet. I scroll, I think it's up.
Yeah, just scroll up a little bit.
There it is. Yeah, so I think we had more stone down there. We just spent some more time looking at the composition of that garage elevation there, which is cut in, and it's not very visible, but I think we made it look a lot better. The color should be earth tone, not a white. The elevations in 3D have been updated to show the earth tone plaster. The plaster color has an LRV of 0.6. It's kind of a beige, off-white, and you can see that also on the materials board PDF that should be included.
I'm sorry, did you want to go to the materials board?
Yeah, thank you. And I think that's it there. So these are kind of the colors. We want to have some contrast, but also really the goal is to sort of blend in with the natural colors of kind of the stone hillsides in the background, the color of the soil, and just kind of be on the same tone as the natural landscape around it. If you want to, I think that was it on the comments, except for that there's a couple landscape ones. If Scott wants to go over those, I can read those, Scott, if you don't have them.
Yeah, please, Danny, I don't have them in front of me.
It said landscape plan is generally well conceived and the plant palette is appropriate. Check for high fire hazard requirements. That was the first one. And then the second was look for additional ways to screen development from below. Add oak trees to south side of property in a naturalistic layout. So
Perfect. And this is the right sheet, I think, for us to be looking at. So we are within a high fire hazard zone. On this plan, I've added several setback zones within 30 feet of a structure. There's a zone which limits landscaping to non-flammable, lower growing plantings. Trees have to be at least 15 feet from a structure, and that requirement had the greatest impact on where we were hoping to place trees. But I feel like we very thoughtfully located several trees around that south side of the building while being outside of the fire department setback. And really the goal was to try to center those trees on where there was just sort of blank mass on the building rather than within view sheds. You'll see just south of the lawn, starting, if we go actually due west of the pool, there's a new olive. Southwest of the pool, an oak, and then if we sort of continue around towards the east, you'll see a couple new olives and then another new oak. And so Danny's elevations actually, or renderings, accurately depict the locations of these trees with respect to the building. So you can see in those elevations how we're trying to soften the massing of the structure. South of really where I'm showing planting is all existing orchard, and the client would like to maintain that as orchard. And because of how fast the topography drops off, it just seems like any additional trees south of where we're showing trees really would have zero impact on softening the structures. If you care to see, there is a lighting plan in this set. Two types of fixtures. If you jump to page 10 of this PDF, I have a path light and step lights. Really all we're doing is illuminating paths of travel from parking areas to front door. The path lights are 2 watts, step lights are 4 watts. Everything's pretty subtle. And that concludes the landscaping. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Right, thank you. Anything else from your team?
Yeah, I was hoping just to have a chance to look at the renderings on the architectural set. I think they're page. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know which sheet they're on.
Yeah, I'm not sure what PDF they're on there, but they were page 7, so probably like the second, maybe the second chunk of sheets.
Yeah, probably one PDF over is my guess.
Yeah.
A 0.4.
It's 0.4. Towards the beginning of the set.
Maybe the first.
Yeah, just keep, I think you're almost there. Just keep going up.
Keep going. Keep going.
There you go.
There
Yep.
you go.
Yeah, I just think that kind of, I think you guys, the members that came and saw the story poles, these gables kind of that you see, these 4 gables on the top image starting at the left, right next to it on the covered pool patio, the game room patio, and then the master. Those are the story pole peaks, and those were the fronts of the patio ridges there. And I just want to point out that I think the master bedroom, that's probably the most kind of towards the edge of the bluff of all the structures. Everything else is very well tucked back. A larger glass, tall ceiling and more glass wall is that big flat roof opening, and that's tucked well back from the edge of the bluff. And by lowering that opening on those covered patios, the glass portion, we've lowered those doors to 8 feet, and they're pushed quite a bit back and well covered. And I think that, along with the strategic oak tree planting kind of along the southeast corner of that master, I think does a great job of kind of just nestling that in a natural looking way. So I just wanted to point that out. And the other note I told some members on site is that the land trust has stricter regulations regarding height. So we desired a kind of a more farmhouse pitch, which is typically a steeper pitched roof, but they do not give you the extra 3 feet. So that has kind of pushed our ridges down, and that's one of the components of having a little bit more grading, as we kind of shave that top six inches to a foot down. But we did raise that up a little to reduce it, and
That's great.
kept the 6 and 12, but that's kind of the challenge we're up against on this site.
Got it. Okay, thank you for your presentation. I'll bring it back to the board for questions. Anyone have questions? Okay, public comment. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this item? If so, there isn't, because there's nobody here.
No attendees in the call.
Right. So comments from the board. Ms. Joe.
Well, it's obviously a very well-designed project. Was looking for potential visual impacts. I think they've been mitigated to a great extent. I have no objection to this project. It's large, and but it's low visibility, so I find it acceptable.
Mr. Birdiak.
I agree with Alex.
Mr. Bloomer.
And I agree with Alex as well. It is large, but I think it's been well mitigated. Excellent example. Good project.
Okay, thank you. I have a couple of things. Actually,
I also, I was just gonna say, it's gonna be brought it up. I think the landscaping scheme is nice. I like the natural settings being preserved. You could probably capture more area on that site for more manufactured kind of landscaping, but I think it's appropriately scaled. Natural. I think, it's hard to tell that these things have been flattened out on top. It seems like what's being proposed here is put some sculpting back into the work and make it look natural. But the renderings kind of show that.
Yeah, that kind of brings me to one of my comments about, I think there was an alley proposed for some of the driveways to do the landscape. One, Scott, have you show us where or if?
Yes, if you go to page 7 of the PDF of the landscape set, which I think you're on already. It's not this set.
Next one.
Not that one. I don't think that's civil, right?
Yeah, but I think they have my plans right after civil.
There you go.
Yeah, one more down. There we go. Yeah, so there is an alley of olives proposed on this portion of the driveway. From the south, the driveway sits low. And so you really, this alley really won't be visible from anywhere.
Aside from up and behind where new homes.
Yes, potentially from the north, yeah.
So maybe, yeah, I mean, everything else is really naturalistic in the landscape, but I'm not, personally, so maybe quick straw vote, if any, obviously the architects, but that's okay too. So does anyone have any issue with the ballet on the site such as this?
I don't know how to judge it. I think it would be nice to have to last department.
Okay.
Is it for preliminary?
Yes.
So maybe some adjustment.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing that I'll just want to point out is there are a lot of young oaks to the north and south of the LA that we intend to keep. So
It's not very long. I mean, 9 plants, 9 trees.
yeah.
I don't know. My vote would be against it, but if nobody else here,
Why is that the problem?
just because from the distance, you see that sort of formal planting and everything else is sort of naturalistic and it sort of stands out.
It got formality
To me, it's at a hook curve, so there's a straight shot in. I think would be kind of an interruption to the flow of the site, but I think it kind of follows the topography. And driving up there, there's several references to this. It seems to be kind of a theme of
Well, there are
entries.
a good portion of the entry on the way up.
Yeah. How big do those trees get?
Maybe 2025. Are they? I don't know if they're fruitless or not, but
So I mean, my thought on person visualizing it, it's just the curving nature of it's kind of nice. I think it will help from a distance, from perspective, kind of break up the monotony that would otherwise be there. It's just a straight shot in, longer, but it's pretty short. But
yeah, okay, fair enough.
it's kind of following the topography.
Here's another thing, none of the formalities are really key in the treatment of the drive. It's all these deep walls and formally nature, so.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah, the whole thing.
Okay, just wanted to get your take on it. No worries. Just one man. One other comment for your elevations, Danny, if you could remove any planting like trees and shrubs. We like to be able to see the building, even if those are going to be there. It's best to, basically remove any trees that are blocking the elevation of the buildings. And we could do elevations, maybe.
More of a like technical, just.
Yeah, exactly. Like here in like east elevation, you can't really see what's behind that to judge it. And so I'd say any that are in front of the building, just remove. And I think other than that, the only thing I wanted to make sure that the water tank, which we didn't talk about in the northeast corner, gets screened if necessary. And I know there were some oak trees in that area, but I just want you to take a closer look and see if it'll be necessary to add some additional oaks or other plants to screen that basically from the north and the east. Because those are going to be significant water tanks.
Okay.
But otherwise, I agree with everyone else here that it's an excellent project, phenomenal site, and I think you're well on your way. So that would be then return the full board for.
We need to make a
Motion.
for
Yeah. Right. If
it's something.
okay. Any of those comments? Do you want to include any of those
Yeah,
comments?
First by Alex and seconded by John.
The comments.
About the elevations and the water tank thing, I guess, basically. Okay. Okay, great. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Moving on, item number 2, T&D Real Estate LLC, single family dwelling, that's Brian Banks. For further conceptual review of a new single family dwelling located at Panera Lane. See an address here. So we have our applicant here.
Mr. Chair, yes, Brian Banks is here. We also have Sophie Calvin for architecture and Sam Mathis for landscape.
Okay, so Brian, same deal. There's a lot of comments here. So
Yeah, that's perfect. I saw the prior item that I think we'll do the same exact thing.
okay, perfect. So whenever you're ready, 10 minutes.
Yes, sir. So it's been about, oh gosh, about 3 years now since the board saw this at conceptual. In that period of time, we've had to do a lot. One of your comments regarding arborist report, there's a lot of specimen trees on the site. In addition, being an oceanfront, bluff fronted property, we had to do our bluff retreat, sea level rise analysis, so forth and so on. So that is kind of resulted in some changes to the site planning, which I think actually address most of your comments. So I thought what we would do, if we could, just to reorient the board, since it's been so long, and to address one of the comments, showing that one of the comments was to show development on the adjacent properties. If we can go to page 18. Are these split up? They might be split up.
I think so.
There you go. Yeah, if we can go to page 18 of the PDF, I think that'll answer that comment. And you can see the relationship to the project that your board's reviewed several times immediately to the west. As I think you recall, this is a one owner, 2 legal lot project. So if we keep going down to the civil plan on page 18 of the PDF, that's C 2.1. Keep going, John. Oh, right, one back. There you go. So here you'll see, if you look at page left, you may remember that large addition remodel project, and then there was the detached garage to the north along that looped driveway. So there you go. So upper left, that's that detached garage where we had the ADU above. Kind of where the cursor is down below, that's the existing attached garage where we demoed the guest house above and connected that second story to the residence. So one of your previous comments was to show the relationship between the two properties and the adjacent. You can kind of see the footprint there from the survey on page right of the neighboring residence. And so a couple of the comments were related to that, the connection to the property. So we're showing that here. And as a reminder, the previous project that you reviewed, we had the ADU kind of competing with the house. It was in front of the house, so there was some confusion, and rightly so, in terms of how do you enter? Do you go through the ADU? Like, how does this all work? So we've actually, and you'll see that when we get to the site plan, we've actually relocated the ADU to the north. So what you're seeing there is the connection to the driveway, the existing driveway to the west. We're going to share that existing driveway, and then we're going to pull into our motor court, which also serves as our required hammerhead, and the fire department's blessed our access plan. So we'll let Sam take over to kind of walk you through. Again, most of what we've done these past years is work with the arborist and our consultant on the sea level rise bluff retreat stuff. So that'll kind of update you on where we are with site plan. And then we'll actually go back on architecture, because your comments were mostly concerned about the arrangement, the forms, and the details. And essentially we've copied what we received final approval on the project to the west. So these are kind of like twin houses. So with that, we'll go ahead and hand it over to Sam, and he'll take you through kind of the trees and the arborist report and the site planning sequences.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. If you could go back to the beginning and maybe PDF 2, it shows some of the photographs of this property. And the reason that we took a step way back and really started to study the relationships to these existing cypress and magnificent oaks. So the site is really a park, and you get that impression when you're looking at the top right, looking at the existing house to the west. There's a large kind of expanse of lawn connecting this center part of the property. I guess the middle left center is really a good picture to maybe blow up to give you the essence of this park-like setting. And what we did is we took a hard look at the critical root zones and all the aspects of preservation of these large trees, because that's the magic of what this owner bought. And we got Duke McPherson, and he's been working with us on the west lot. And this lot is a continuity of kind of making sure these trees are really preserved and respected and in all the correct ways. So if you go from that picture to, I think it's PDF 21. So you're seeing all the types of trees and brush, and that's looking, the bottom right is looking east towards the neighbor. You really can't see the neighbor. And then the bottom right is also a good shot of what those silhouettes of the cypress trees look like towards the waterfront, towards the ocean view, which is what the main house, of course, focuses on. So from there, we took it to Duke and all the CRZs and show, if we could, PDF 21 L.
And while Jonathan's doing that, Sam, one of the other comments you just reminded me of was to take photos from the beach and the adjacent properties. Well, the reality is you can't with that thick screening there that Sam was showing you on the east. I can't get a picture from the adjacent property. And then the bluff is 39 feet. So from the beach and with the setback of it, you can't see the house. You actually can't see the neighboring house either. So sorry, I just wanted to make sure we handled those comments at the same time.
That's great. Thanks, Brian. So if you go back a couple of sheets, we want to go to LT1, which is kind of the tree preservation plan. Let's go back, maybe one more should give us kind of the aspect of the site and its relationship to the west lot is because of the west lot is the driveway coming in. And then we turn left and we're into that motor court. But you can just see the constraints and how difficult this property is to develop any kind of structure because of all the large circles and the tree protection fencing. And we're going to be using permeable papers in that fire turnaround because it just touches the edges. All that orange is showing where we've got areas of encroachment. So what we did was kind of shoehorn in the project in the ocean area. We've got a bluff setback, which is also a constraint, which I think you can see the line that the pool is on to the south is a bluff setback. Maybe another drawing will show that, but the tree preservation really drove all of our good site decisions. So if we go to back one sheet from here is PDF 21, sheet LO.1, just one back. There you go. So if you blow up this at all, you can see that the landscape plan consists of embellishing the green areas and staying away from a lot of the root zones and the trunks and the crowns of these big cypress. So in order for us to really do the right drought tolerant, water respecting Montecito Water's 1 acre foot ruling, we had to reduce a lot of the turf that's on the project now. It does have a well, but we designed our irrigation system to work within the 1 acre foot constraints in case of. And so you see the green areas are where we're landscaping, and that is around the ADU. There's an existing beautiful koi pond fountain to the left where the ADU is. That's being preserved. And actually the ADU has a nice centered relationship on it for its outdoor space to the living space of the ADU, centering on that low 12-inch to 18-inch high koi pond. And then all around that is surrounded by cypress trees and large oak trees. So that configuration shows the landscaping in its proximity to the ADU, just subtle small trees, really not competing with the large specimens. On the main house, you can see we've got an entrance off of the main parking area and hammerhead, a small fountain there to kind of celebrate an entry focal point. And then we walk into the building that works its way around the trees, and it opens to the ocean with a beautiful courtyard. That courtyard form kind of embraces the cabana on the west and the main building windows towards the east. And then all of our spaces open to the ocean, of course, dropping down. This property, because it's newly developed, has restrictions of the flood levels as well. So we had to raise this house some 3 to 4 feet in order to get out of the floodplain. So we do have a flood level that was being respected, which is why we've got stairs coming up to the entry and down to the pool. You see, we've got a raised platform, and the building is respecting all the new requirements for flood. We've got a recreational size pool and spa alignment in the south side that kind of is towards the beautiful outdoor living spaces towards the view. Pool equipment is there as well, well screened. All of that east line is being supplemented by any encroachment and mitigation that we might be facing, but just in general, trying to be very, respectful of the neighbor relationships that we have now, and making sure that this building is not going to be seen by the eastern neighbor, and likewise, they're not going to see us and we're not going to see them. We do want to have kind of an open relationship to the west neighbor, because again, its configuration is to be adjoined as it's one owner and it's kind of a family compound, but this is being kind of completely designed as a sole and individual property. From there, maybe we can go to the hydro zone, which is PDF 27, sheet L 2.2.
And that was our 10-minute mark. I want to kind of wrap up here. I think we.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe you guys have gotten the gist. I don't want to take away from any of the architectural side, but we've got a very complete set, knowing that we're going to be going through Coastal Commission. So we've got our hydrant zones in our Wello, and we've got some lighting that we can touch on, but it's very simple, and the site plan is very, very subtle, because we're really featuring these large trees. So that's.
Thanks, Sam. I think we can go, Mr. Chair, to Sophie. Since Sam's taking you kind of through the whole site layout, I think we can skip over site plan and go to sheet 8 of the PDF, which are the elevations. And then Sophie can walk you through how we addressed those previous comments and tied everything together.
Okay, page 8, great. Sounds good. Okay, so we're looking at the east lot residential. This is the face looking out at the ocean. We have really complemented the west lot and the east lot. The architectural style is very similar, the Spanish colonial style. So the two parcels are, have a great complemented architectural style on both the houses. And the wrought iron is exactly what the west lot has as well. The light fixtures are the same. The chimneys are very complementary, the same style as well. So yeah, if you don't mind going to that one. So there's the front entry door, is right there above the word residence. And you see there is a 2-story element to this house off to the left side of the page. And that's the only 2 windows that have an arched top. Everything else is square top. And then we have a set of sections. Oh, and just so you know, one of the pages that we do have was run by flood control. And both of the ADU and the primary residence had to be elevated by 3 feet. And Karen Sullivan had provided us agreement with the heights of the elevations.
So that, I think, gives you the gist. Of course, we've got a lot more details than you would typically see at further conceptual, but of course, we had those from the West residence, so we packaged everything together just to have a complete set. This was our CDP submittal set. And I should just, in summary, I should just say that we do have a planner assigned. We're going through, she's done her initial review and feedback, nothing that would affect architecture or landscape. It's stuff like issues to do with the sea level study and, bio aspects and that sort of thing. So we're not anticipating from a planning perspective that anything is going to change site plan wise, building footprint wise, height wise, as we weave our way through the CDP process. So I think that concludes the presentation. Of course, we're here for questions.
Okay, thanks. Questions from the board?
Yeah, Sophie, can you please describe the colors and materials? The details showing 12-inch walls and also 6-inch walls. Can you kind of quickly show us where these areas happen?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you very well. Can you say that again?
Yeah, the colors. I would like to know more about colors and materials. And your details show 10-inch, 12-inch walls and 6-inch walls. The width, the width. Where do they happen? Where are those? Where are the 12-inch walls?
I don't think we have 12-inch walls. We have the 6-inch walls.
Yeah, I thought the details show that, don't they?
We'll take care of that. Happily take care of that.
Do we have other details? Okay, so it's not. No,
I think it's statement.
maybe. Okay, all right.
How about the materials? Do you have a material board or?
We don't have a specific material board. It's the colors that are on the elevations. We're matching everything on the property to the west, so we'll make sure to provide those. It's the same plaster, trim, stonework, etc. We'll make sure to provide those. But these were the agreed upon or the final colors and materials that we used for the project next door to the west.
So just as a question, usually you have like a two-piece mission tile, right, with boosters and double layer starting cores, hot iron, real steel iron, not tubular steel. I'm just asking, is that what you're doing or not?
Are you talking about the wrought iron?
Yeah, materials.
Yeah.
Please
It is a
describe the
decorative
materials.
wrought iron railings on the stairs, as well as in front of the cabana. You see there's a little deck area.
But the roofing will be two-piece tiles, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Two-piece tile.
Rail tiles.
Yeah, I think Alex just wants a general description of the materials, like what's the stucco, what's the wood, what's the,
Well,
I can do that with a color board. Yeah, absolutely.
And on the towers, on the round forms, you have I'm not sure if it's stone or plaster forms to create some interest and projections. You're doing that with plaster, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, we'll look forward to see the details of that when we come back.
Okay.
Other questions?
Well, I have a question. This the building is side loaded. Does this second story thing, is that surrounded by or lost into trees?
Yes, there's a lot of oak trees and acacia trees, and there'll be a new hedge of Laurus nobilis along that whole east line. But it's substantially treed now, and we're going to be supplementing that whole east side. This two-story setback is kind of adjacent to the other property that also has a two-story, but there's very minimal windows on that east side, and it was the owner's desire to have a private office and a tower element, and this was the most logical place to put it. But it is well screened on that side and plenty of side yard setback to accomplish that.
Yeah, and in fact, I mean, those are some of the cypress and oaks that we're required to protect. So they don't show obviously in the elevations, but they're pretty substantial.
Okay, thank you. I think we can move past questions for public comment. I see no one in the attendees, so we'll go bring it right back then to the board for comments. You can start us off, Alex.
Yeah, we have the front elevation, the other one I think it is. Okay, yeah, no, I think it's a nicely designed building. The entrance is a little bit awkward, but maybe it's just the detail of the way the arch is somewhat a little bit out of scale, but it's something that can be adjusted for preliminary.
In what way?
Well, simply, yeah, you can zoom out a little bit. The scale is a little bit off. And the glass seems to take over the whole opening. And the shape of the opening is more like it's not the Roman arch. It's kind of like it's not a traditional shape.
Should that roof line plate height of that entry be taller by about 2.5 feet, maybe?
That would help.
I think it needs to reach up to the top of that roof structure, maybe.
Well, I guess the comment that it should be more prominent and more in more traditional.
Yeah, restudy the entry and raise the plate height of the entry structure significantly. I would even consider boosting it above the adjacent roof line. Just, I don't know what's on the other side, but I'm just studying. I'm saying this not for the record, but just commenting on it. Like, balance out what's happening on the right and left. The center needs to have more prominence.
Okay, so the second comment is to study carefully those projections, those architectural projections from the walls, like the one looking at the north elevation. I think the round
By the way, sorry to interrupt, but it's very deceiving, this elevation, because if you look at the floor plan, you go to the left of the entry, see where that shadow line is. I think it steps back about 20 feet. So, you know, that piece in the back is pushed significantly further back. Okay? So is the round tower on the right. Like, the way this elevation is being presented right now, it looks like one contiguous elevation, but the round tower on the right is back probably 40 feet from the front elevation, and the left side that John was saying is front loaded. I just refer you guys to the floor plan real quick, because it's deceiving.
Anyway, sorry, Alex, I didn't interrupt. This is basically what you're just this section is really forward.
Yeah. Everything else is stepping way back significantly. So
Okay, so
I'm just saying that the scale of the front elevations is a nicely designed house, an important house. You should have more of the presence at the entry.
Yeah.
The second point is the openings on the projected treatment of the openings. And it happens the north elevation on the left. I think the scale between the opening, the windows themselves, and the surrounds is a little bit off. It seems like too narrow. There are traditional ways of handling this, and I think they should be more. It's a traditional building should have to be more traditional in the composition, the surrounding, the architecture surrounding these projected elements. If you go up a little bit to again, it happens again on that side. It's a little bit postmodern shape. That's what I mentioned. It's a little bit off, but it has possibilities. I think the composition is nice. It's just the detailing of the surrounds that is awkward.
I think, Alex, if I might jump in there, I think the 3D modeling effort is not keeping up with the detailed intent. It's like somebody on 3D models trying to achieve something, and it's showing in their elevation a certain way, and then looking at the detail. I think careful attention to their details when they come back to discern what the actual treatment of these window surrounds are, because these elevations are. I think it's a 3D modeler struggling to get detailing into the elevation instead of it being drawn out. The architectural details are drawn.
All right.
But I don't know. I'm looking at like page 813.2. So detail 23, stair window surround elevation balance. You can see, and detail 24, there is an attempt to describe that. And I think that's where we want to dig our teeth into this. Yeah, is that what you want to see? Or how do we change? How do we get that way?
I think the surround is to be a little bit larger, I mean, especially the jumps, need to be more, you can see it in Italy, Spain, is Mexico as well.
What's the material of the surround again?
I think it's even plaster.
Is it plaster?
It's plaster.
Isn't that traditionally done with stone?
We didn't do it in the house next door, so we didn't want to mix those. I mean, we'll study that if that's the direction.
Oh, I think if you want to be more precise about it, like narrower dimensions, like you have, stone might be a preference. Is where I think if you're trying to do it with like a plaster surround, maybe I think Alex is right. I mean, you need to study it a little bit more, like in terms of how plaster is typically used in that condition. It's kind of slender.
I think it'd be easier. I think the scale is a little
If
bit.
it was stone, I think you get away with a more tight detail.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Engineering study.
So those are two comments I have.
Josh, you want to just finish up your comments?
Oh, I would say I agree with Alex on pretty much all of his comments. I'm looking at the detailing, and the detailing of the ironwork seems very nice. And they have quite a complete package here. So the only comment I had just on that, I think if you fade your elevations kind of present a little bit more, a little bit different than what's really there. So maybe fading out the background items a little bit would help, understand the 3 dimensions of this thing. But I think my only comments really on the architecture scale, mass bulk and scale, is just that front entry of Alex's comments, which is, I think it could be a little bit more celebrated. Yeah, to just kind of, bring that piece of it up to match what's happening in the rest of the house.
Mr. Verdiak?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't either. I think the landscape was really well thought out, considering all the site constraints, and that helped sort of shape the site layout. So I think that was successful. And so nothing to add there. And I think there were just really minimal comments, and sounds like it's been a long process. I think you guys could return for preliminary and final at full board whenever you're ready with us.
After the CDP.
After CDP, yeah.
Right, yeah, after hearing. So it'll be a while, unfortunately, but thank you. Thank you for the comments, especially that entry. I'm looking at it now. I'm not an architect, but it makes absolutely complete sense when we look at an elevation. So that'll be great to return with that for you.
Yeah, you may want to return in progress with those details, the entry, the details of the projections, the windows that we were talking about. If you want to,
And then are we able to have them return prelim final if they have to go CDP, or can
No.
just
You have to go to CDP first, right?
yeah.
Right, we have to go to hearing and have the ZA approve the project before we can come back for preliminary and final.
Okay. So
But
we'll
you can have them come back for both preliminary and final following ZA approval.
I can. Okay. Yeah, great. Let's do that then.
Great,
And
thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Have a good weekend.
4 years.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, item number 3, the Reagan Family Trust Edition, request of Chris Cottrell, architect for Zed and Peggy Reagan, for preliminary review of a new detached garage, conversion of existing attached garage to habitable, and validating an as-built workshop. And this is 710 La Buena Tierra, Goleta, last heard May 19th of this year. And we have the applicant here. Your name for the record, sir. Chris Cottrell, architect. Okay, Chris, we have just a couple comments from last time. I'll just read through those. Clearly depict and differentiate between existing and proposed development. Architecture is appropriate. Improvements are reasonable given the size of the lot. Landscape plan required to show proper screening need to ensure and demonstrate that the sports court lighting will not spill over onto adjacent property. So if you want to take us through this and show us what has changed.
Sure, I'll go quick. If we jump to page 3. This is site plan that shows you, if you zoom in down on that sort of lower middle gray building. Okay, you can see the sport court on south and there, sorry, page up. You can see the sport court. Page, sorry. I guess we'll go down. Oh, sorry. Okay, awesome. There's a dash line showing the extent of the light illumination there. It's like right in front of the cabana. It's just a basketball lane. There's a basketball backboard in there, so it is not spilling to adjacent properties. So that is one comment. And then page 4 and 5, if you go full screen 4.
Was there a new like fixture proposed too, or is that one that was put in?
There's 2 little, like, I think they're 12 footers on sport court that have gone through the process. And I don't know if that matters. Okay, this is before landscapes existing. Sport court's there. You can see the shed is on the north end. We move that shed to the south side of the sport court. So if you just flip to the next page now, there you go. This is afterwards. So we're removing chunks of the driveway, both on the east and west sides. Adding a couple olives on that east side. Actually, this is north. Sorry, this is just page east. This thing is sideways. On the north side of the house, there's 3 olives where we're infilling the driveway. And then the board wanted to make sure we were screening cabana from La Buena Tierra. So those are new arbutus. They're on that little slope. Should fill in nicely and kind of screen that soften that. Those are the comments. That's it.
Questions?
So what was the story with the light? So how does the light, how do you screen the light?
It actually has a shield. So it's the light is up inside the shield. So it only throws down.
Yeah, is that shown in the plans?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other questions? The parking to that north of the car there, is that allowed? Must be front setback.
That's just drop off. It's not parking. It's like save a pull and bring the groceries. It's not parking.
All right. How do you, how's that work? No, like you have a traffic issue. Is anybody? You go back one month. When that goes through plan check corrections, somebody gonna look at that, tell you.
Well, you see what they have right now. It's a similar situation. It doesn't go through. Just
But they can turn around.
Right.
now.
So how do they back out on the left lane of Terra without crashing?
On that blind curve. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's kind of existing condition. Yeah, seems dangerous.
It does. Seems terrible.
Dangerous.
We could back it.
Well, I'm happy to leave it. The board had asked us to remove some more pavement. That was kind of where we just like it. But we can leave a little turnaround.
Just don't know how this would go through the process of review, but it doesn't seem like a big traffic study project, but won't this be reviewed? Joe, are you here? Planner Joe?
Yes, I'm here. What's up?
When this project gets submitted, will it be routed through transportation?
Let me look at the agenda. So this is item 3.
Yeah.
And it's a land use permit. So land use permits are not automatically routed through transportation. They don't normally go through the SDRC review, but if there are transportation issues, we would send it individually. So depending on the scope of work.
That's pretty minor. So, well, it's up to you for sending it. If this gets snagged, I guess you'll have to work it out. I hope it doesn't get to a point where it gets kicked back to us. Anyway, if somebody doesn't like what you're doing, they want you to change it.
And there was some opposition from neighbors.
Would the board be okay if we left a little turnaround right there and just shortened up that,
That probably doesn't need to be that big, but it would be good enough to create a little bit of a turnaround in there.
That almost looks like parking for RV or something. So we go to the next page.
Yeah, if you
Does this
can,
scope include a new curb cut?
No. And then what's that little brown thing in that corner there? Is that you do something or other? Just to the upper left of that car?
Is there cans are there? It's not, we're not proposing any trash enclosure.
anyway, I would recommend you put a bit of a turnout there to make sure you can.
Zoom into that area.
I just think I don't think that's safe.
So, and left side,
I mean, it sounds like you and the client would like to have some space there, so.
yeah, they'd be happy to.
Keep going. It doesn't say what that is.
I think one of the, what we could do to kind of mitigate that is if you come out of a trade, you put in a permeable surface there. It's not like asphalt or cement, you know, like block. It can actually drain out nicely, more like landscape material than driveway, and you know, and then pop in a turnout. I think we'd be happy with it.
Good question. Why couldn't you feel a parallel parking? It's just a drop of something. 8 foot wide on the road at 8 feet or something. So, you know, just lane, like, you don't have to back traffic. So that would be much less asphalt.
Yeah, well, that's an option. I think that, yeah.
Anything
Anything that makes
it
I think we leave it up to the applicant to address, but you know, there's concern.
Great.
So, and also identify what that.
Yeah.
Brown rectangle is. And if it's trash, can it be in setback? And come back to us. And if you want to be able to, because it is existing, so if, you know, less work, if you want to leave some of it, turn around, or just, you understand the concerns.
Yeah.
Leave it up to you.
So it is for preliminary.
Yeah, and where are we? Questions? There's no,
We just have to call public comment.
yeah, there's no one, public comment. There's no one here, so we'll move on. Just comments or additional questions from the board.
Well, the garage, I assume matches the detailing of the house.
Yes.
You can see the, we go through the elevations.
And then these are the shed is moved to become the cabana. That's an existing, and that's the garage. Okay.
Okay. Two ends of the house have the board and bat. Garage will have the board and bat as well.
Okay. So.
And then, yeah, you know, landscape. I don't know if you had planting and all that. Yeah. But, you know, that it's needed for final. All right, so comments, anything else?
It's good enough with the comments we made.
Okay, so
Concerns about the extra parking space or drop off area. Safety of that space.
so we hear from preliminary if something.
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Comment to study the parking of the north.
First comment.
Driveway.
And to return for final full board or concept. Okay, so return consent.
Was there a second for that?
John,
Yeah,
Second.
second.
and all those in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, moving on then to our final item.
Can't deny you.
Okay, this is the ROIC California LLC pad climbing gym. Request of Jay Ritterback. Preliminary and final new second level addition to an existing single-story commercial space at Magnolia Shopping Center. And this is 160 Hollister Avenue, last heard January 20th of this year. And we have our applicant here with us, and I believe Jay is to give us your name for the record.
Yeah, my name is Yishai Horowitz.
Okay, welcome. And Jay, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so I'll just turn it over to you and just, you know, the timer here for 10 minutes. You can walk us through and address the comments, show us what's changed.
Sure. Thank you, Chair, members of the board. So we didn't have too many comments from SBAR. The last time we were before you was actually May 5th. And we were given direction that really addressed or was focused on two specific areas, one being the windows, and then the second being kind of the roof line and just breaking that up. So we provided a comment letter or a response letter to those comments, and I think hearing support staff has provided that to you. I won't read through it, but I do want to just note that we've taken those comments to heart, and we have changed the windows, and we have addressed that roof line and broken that up as well. So the plans reflect those specifically. We've made changes to all of the elevations, all the visuals reflect consistently those responses and that direction that we've taken. And we received approval from the Planning Commission on August 2nd. So a month ago, we were before them, got unanimous approval for the increase in the height. They agreed with the SBAR that the size bulk scale was appropriate, that the use was appropriate as well. And they liked the direction, those comments that in the previous iterations and the previous suggested changes that the SBAR had guided the project through, really made the project sail through. They appreciated those changes as well. So we do have one of the representatives from Andrew Goodwin Designs, the architectural team. Angelique Macklin is also on the call if there are specific architectural questions. But I think our elevations and our renderings should adequately give you a flavor for the project now. So with that, I'll reserve the rest of my 10 minutes, I suppose, but and just for brevity, I think I'll end it there. Thank you, guys.
Okay, can you maybe address the item C, study ways to break up height to sections similar to elevations of Ralph, consider adding tile to recess squares to add interest? Are these the best elevations for us to be looking at that are on the screen?
I think further along in the document, there should be colored elevations that might be a little bit more helpful.
Maybe back up one, I think. Sorry, two, then. Yeah, right.
Yeah, no.
Elevations. Right there. Okay, so this is the best page then, maybe?
Yeah, between this and the standard elevations, the page prior has the comparison to the existing and the new, but this one has the overall for the proposed.
Okay. And then, so can you tell us sort of how you address that comment?
Yes, we were working with the constraint of, trying to maximize the interior volume as much as possible for the use here as a climbing gym. And so we tried to break up the volume as much as possible, at least from the ground level. So we changed the parapet cap so that there's a different profile sweep going along to kind of create a visual impact from the ground plane that makes it seem like there's more of a change in elevation. I think that actually going back to the site plan, I believe it's the second sheet in the set, you can see a little bit more of what a normal view would look like of the building. Rather than just head on here, we can see obviously the elevations. But it's such a large impact of the roof lift that the mass isn't quite as flat as it looks here.
All right. Very good. And is that an arbor element that's across the?
Yes, there's an existing like wood trellis that is over the right side volume entry sequence that her previous comments, we continued over into connecting to the second mass on the left side. I do believe that maybe the second sheet in the set may represent that a little bit more clearly. I'm sorry, maybe another one down. There's an overall elevation that you had pulled up previously. There we go. So in view 31 there, you can see how it continues across and how those two volumes are in different planes and the roof line changes.
Is that also shown somewhere in a plan view? So we get an idea.
Yes, the floor plan, I believe if you go to the mezzanine floor plan, you can see the arbor.
Do you know what sheet number that would be?
I believe it's maybe 2 more sheets down from this. I'm sorry, 1 more beyond that. There we go. You can see the arbor. Back 1 to where you were. Yeah, there we go.
I see. Okay, great. Anything else?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So let's go to questions from board members. Anyone have?
Yeah, this trellis that you proposed is, would that be possible to have planting on that, vines on that? I mean, one of the suggestions previously was to try to extend the red tile roof over there to more integrate this space with the existing composition. But, the trellis, if that were planted in vines, I think it would be a big help.
I think there is a landscape plan, right? Can we show us what is being proposed? Because one of the comments is addition of landscape is appropriate. So where is there a landscape plan here somewhere?
Yes, I believe the second or third page should have landscape. There we go. Here, if you go back 1 page, sorry, there is a landscape key up above, and they've been identified in the bottom right floor plan as well. So we've proposed a climbing vining jasmine plant to go up that trellis element. There are 2 columns flanking the entry, and those would be planted with vines that could then continue up over the trellis element.
You see this in the plan, so we see where I think it's over, yeah, down. Let's see what is that. Yes. We're adding queen palms. No. It's a little hard to read.
Yeah, what's clear is that plan?
Yeah, but I think we go back to the list. So I think you might want to restudy a few of these plant choices, like the Elijah Blue Festuca, that's going to be dead in 2 years. I'm not even sure what the Foggia is, but just, I guess, maybe restudy those 2. The Star Jasmine's really slow, but it's, if you just wanted to get up on the trellis, I would use something else, like honeysuckle or something like that. Trumpet vine, maybe. It's very heavy. But yeah, like the Star Jasmine's just slow, and it's not, it's kind of more for espalier rather than getting a vine up onto a large scale arbor. So maybe kind of restudy the last. Wisteria, deciduous and messy, but aggressive. So I would restudy the Fallujah and Star Jasmine and consider, you need low water use plants. So maybe instead of Star Jasmine, I think the giant Burmese honeysuckle might be a good choice there. And then for the grass, just something longer lived and tougher because it's a commercial setting. Otherwise, I think we're still basically questions.
Yeah, I think that, are you proposing any color for the building? I think that, a darker color, even if it, much darker tone than the existing, would help reduce the impact of that big facade.
Do you have a materials board with colors and all that, or it's probably matching?
We do, it's right there.
Right there.
Yeah, our intent was mostly to match the existing site conditions of the building that our suite is set within, and then also coordinating back to the larger Ralph's building that's directly across from our suite.
I think it would be a good idea to show your color on your elevations, so we can get an idea of, I mean, it's big. It's a big facade, and as we're all trying to sort of reduce that visual impact, and I think a dark color would be beneficial.
Well, we're here for
There are also examples of basic renderings that we have in the set as well that shows the colors of the building in sight in connection to its neighboring suites.
We can find those. It's later in the set, I think.
I think prior.
It's SBR 1.3.
Thank you, Jay.
This one. Oh, I see. That's kind of a photo.
That's what I mean. I think if we're darker color, it would reduce the impact, the visual impact.
Yeah, this doesn't really show the color of the arbor, which I think is darker color too. So it's not representing itself well. So anyway, we'll get to the comment in a minute. There is no public comment, but we need to address it. So bring it back to comments. So John, if you want to give us a concise comment about which portion of the building would be darker, or the whole thing, or what?
Well, I think you could study these elevation, and maybe the whole building may not be the same color all the way across. I mean, it would help to break up not only the size of it and to illustrate some vines on the trellis. And I think it would be helpful. I mean, perhaps this facade that has the sign on it, if that were darker, and that would break up the mass of it also. But it need not be over the whole building. I mean, I think that should be studied. This is a big visual impact in there, and
Remember, it's a crappy strip mall.
yeah, I mean,
It's a lot better than what's there.
let's do what we can with it.
They've made a lot of improvements to that shopping center.
On the other side, the back side hasn't been really touched. Right. This is actually pulling some of that over. It's significant.
Yeah, right. So, so there's one comment, and you want?
I agree with John. I mean, I think breaking up the massing by changing the color, getting the material colors into this rendering will sell this project to the board. And I think if you follow John's advice, looking at how to shift the colors between the massing, I think we're going to find some success here.
It would be better to have a darker color.
I think they should study it. I don't know. It could be one or the other. That any effort in that direction is going to be.
Yeah, and also, a darker color perhaps would reduce the impact when it's seen from different perspectives, from the back. I mean,
look at what's happening now on the left side of the panel. You have the terracotta roof, the terracotta eave, and then you went and painted that forward wall the same color. There's no contrast, right? Like that dental care wall should be white, and that little pop of terracotta pops out, and then probably the next volume should be white, and then the next volume should be tan color, or something like that. Somebody needs to think about the whole elevation of this thing and do a better treatment of it. But I think that kind of study, thinking about the material of the arbor, it's gonna make this work.
Yeah, even, considering, you could study putting awnings over those three windows, which will break up the mass of that.
Problem is, they're so high up there, John, they're never gonna get maintenance properly.
It's not gonna do much to shade. We already talked about that element last time.
Remember, they had those weird arches, they just kind of simplified the squares. I think we should leave that.
I think this is an improvement, and I think bringing that arbor across the whole facade, but represent it realistically, what the proposed coloring is, and taking to heart John's comment about varying the color for your facade. And it seems to me we could, if there's no other major comments, that we could give a preliminary.
I think we can, but I want to also mention something else. We talked about using tile or some kind of dark colors. If we do that, yeah.
I mean, it's
Consider adding tile to these squares to add interest. Remember that? But, I mean, it just seems like a lost opportunity. The work is done to be.
so carry that forward.
I think,
Again.
yeah. I mean, I think it's ready for preliminary, but can you please go to the elevation, previous page, that have the elevation, the front and the back.
Keep going.
That one. Yeah, you can enlarge that here. Okay, so one comment, on the back, the cornice should end with a ringlet. Like let me just put it here. This is not seen from any place else, but if you have this ringlet, then you can put end the cornice right there. We'll take some sense. That's one. The second one is.
So that's where the cornice should end, or
Yeah.
there should be a new ringlet here, right?
No, well,
Yeah,
that's move the ringlet or just, I don't know. Well, either way. Also, I know there's a question with height, but this thing will look so much better if the cornice was above the other one. To avoid this kind of a situation that happens in this corner, and that corner. I know you have a height, this is 38, this is 18 inches. Can this board allow the corners to go up a few inches as an exception? As Joe, the planner here.
Or this roof would have to come down slightly.
That whether it's a roof, having the roof, but it is awkward to have. We have some roof. And if the other
maybe the cornice could be higher, just
that's what I'm saying.
set up, yeah.
So are you
I
at your,
don't care one way or the other. It's neither make it higher. If not, well, do something else.
is that understood by the applicant?
You understand what we're talking about?
I think you're asking Joe, the planner, if we can elevate that cornice so it's higher and sits above the, so it looks like there's two elevations there.
Yeah.
So are you at your maximum height right now?
I believe we're at our maximum height. I think we might be able to go a little bit more on an architectural projection.
Yeah, there's provision. Yeah, there is an architectural element provision, but it's got limits as far as square footage and height. So we don't want to have to go back for an amendment to what was the conditional use permit, which allowed the height modification. But we'll work with our planner to see what is permissible within the bounds of the one provision that allows architectural elements.
Indeed. Maybe you can argue that it's just the square footage of the parapet itself. Not the area.
Yeah.
Not the area
That's-
of the parapet.
So it's either
Yeah,
that,
Alex, I agree.
either that or this comes down slightly to where it's showing that red line.
It's just that we have a minimum possible.
Yeah. Okay, so you understand.
Yeah, the problem with lowering that one down,
Maximum.
yeah, we hit that.
So just see what you can do.
Yes, I think those are the comments. The color, landscape, and what to do with that comments.
Yeah.
Only how to You could work better.
Can I ask a question? What would you think about the Juliet balcony in front of those windows? Those, those three,
You want to have this discussion about how to do it.
I don't really want to, usually, whoever's doing the architecture on this has been struggling the whole way. You open up another can of worms.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't John.
I think you're really close. That's really the color thing.
You guys could have brought this way. In the way it's supposed to be day one, you didn't, and we've been going through it and going through it. That's not happening. You know, I'd like to see this thing up and running. It's a great add to the community. Like having a rock gym like this is a cool, great thing. Just let's get this damn thing.
Yeah. So it looks like you're going to get a preliminary, which means you can submit to the building department process going and then return on consent probably. For
Well, I
final.
mean, this is landscaping too, but yeah, okay.
We'll have a landscape consenter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
you
just
wanna
really
do-
wanting to make those plants long lived, and the choices that are made are
I
not.
want to do that on consent. One more pass on.
But I think I'm ready for.
Yeah. I say so. So someone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. Preliminary approval with a comment to one, restudy the colors with the idea of using a darker color, either the whole building or parts of the building. Break it up. That's two.
And to
Restudy,
show that in the color rendering.
present the color rendering.
Yeah.
Color.
And include the color, as in this one, the color of the arbor, which is, yeah.
Okay, that's two. Second point is we study the cornice parapet, and raise it if possible, or find another way to avoid the conflict with to create a distinction between the cornice parapet and the parapet without the cornice. So we don't,
It's basically the same comment as item C was. Study ways to break up height of two sections, similar to elevation of Ralph's building, and also consider adding tile to recessed squares to add interest.
keep that one too.
Yeah.
Okay, and the other one, the last one, the landscape, study landscape materials.
Yeah, study the plant material to be more sturdy. Yeah, it's good.
For commercial use.
Yeah.
Illustrate it on illustrate the planning on the elevation.
Yeah, or the rendering. Rendering.
Okay, so that's the motion for preliminary approval. Okay, turn on consent.
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Someone want to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Oh, second.
Oh,